Hi, everybody. I'm just giving everyone a few minutes. It looks like there was at least one more, two more in the waiting room. So we'll give another minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, there's no one else in the waiting room right now, so we can go ahead and at least I'll get started with what we're going to chat about tonight and then do some introductions. So if anyone jumps in, they won't be missing too much information. First of all, welcome for coming. My name is Amy. I work here in the admission office. We are going to be able to hear from myself. I'll talk about the things in terms of your admissions journey. We have faculty member, Dr. O'Leary is here with us. So anything in terms of curriculum and, program setup and those deep dive questions, this is a great time to ask them. And I'm also joined by two of our current students. So I like to think this is all the sides of the admission process, so we should be able to answer all your questions. This is going to be recorded and you will have access to the recording. So don't worry about if you are trying to take a picture of a slide or trying to take notes. Feel free to just sit back, enjoy. If you need a copy of it, happy to send it to you and you can always go back to refer. And I think we'll go ahead and get started. A little bit about me first. I have worked here at MCPHS twice pretty much in the past 12 years. When I first started, we were actually just chatting about the optometry program was just getting started. And now that I've come back several years later, I see it thriving and a lot of happy faces on campus. So it's always good to come home and see students that I missed. So I know a lot about MCPHS. So anyone has questions in terms of the campus in general in the area, I'm happy to answer them. Dr. O'Leary, would you like to start us off?
Sure. So again, Dr. O'Leary, I've been with the university for a little over 10 years now, primarily teaching our pediatrics and binocular vision curriculum, but I'm in class, lab, clinic. So any questions on any aspect of the program, you can let me know.
Students, go ahead. Fire them off.
I can start. Hi, I'm Nazine. I'm first year optometry student here at MCPHS. I'm from Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. So for those who don't know, it's all the way to the West Coast. So I came all the way from the West Coast to here. I'm really glad to be here today.
All right, and I'm Trish. I'm a second year optometry student in my second year last semester of this second year program. And I'm also from Canada, so I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, where if you guys have heard of like Banff National Park or like Lake Louise, I'm only like 4 hours away from there. So yeah.
Beautiful. All right, and just to let everyone know, question and answer box is live. Feel free to toss in questions as we're going along. We may answer you by typing back. If we're waiting on a question, it may be coming up on a slide, or I promise we will answer it live. So no matter what, please make sure to throw them in there. We want to be able to give you as much information as possible. Let me bring up some of these slides. Oh, right. Here we go. Okay, so here we are at MCPHS. MCPHS has been around a really long time. So if you go anywhere and Google or our name, I'm sure something of a bicentennial over 200 years will pop up. And we're very proud of that. We are the oldest university in Boston, second oldest pharmacy school in the country. When we started out on our journey, yes, it started with pharmacy, but really over the years and 200 years, we've grown into over 100 different programs in a healthcare university in 3 different campuses. So we've never deviated from that. So it is health science, healthcare all the time. There are no degrees in communication or history or any kind of liberal arts. We know what we do very well, and we don't deviate from that. Since we've been around such a long time, we also have an extremely large alumni network. So over 7,500 different students coming in from 100 different countries. I have actually had the privilege of recruiting internationally for MCPHS, and sometimes different pockets of the world you go to, you don't expect anyone to know who you are, where you're from. And I am always pleasantly surprised that I seem to find someone that I can connect back to this university on travels. So that in itself, we like to include as a benefit to our students in terms of, I may not be able to find you a specific optometrist in, a certain niche in a more remote area of the world, but I might be able to find you a pharmacist or an alum or someone close by that's going to be able to get in contact with you. So that alumni network is something very special to MCPHS. With time and the experience that we also have really strong clinical affiliation ties. One thing sometimes I do get asked by students is, your optometry program is located on the Worcester campus, but I have my eyes set on, a certain, clinical site that may be located in Boston. Does that mean I can't go there because I'm not on the Boston campus? And that is absolutely not. MCPHS clinical sites are MCPHS clinical sites. So if there are optometry rotations, open at the location you want to go to, and MCPHS is affiliated, no other campuses necessarily are getting first dibs over it. So everything is available to students. Just to kind of give you, I talked about how we have 3 different campuses. Obviously, we started out in Boston over 200 years ago. That is where all of our undergraduate programs are. So we also have an optometry pathway. So if you were coming out of high school, doing your undergraduate degree, going to Boston, you could do things in, specific pathways. So you can do into optometry or acupuncture or pharmacy or a lot of these different programs that we have. Or you could just get your standard undergraduate degree. We do have a handful of grad programs in Boston, but that is where all of our undergraduate programs are housed with our undergrad students. Worcester and Manchester are a little unique in the fact of there are no undergraduate students on either one of these campuses. These are all graduate learners, so master's degrees and doctorate degrees. And they're all on-site clinical programs as well. So that is going to be a really big benefit to you being here in Worcester. Rather than some universities, you may have one very large university, it's one location and you're sharing resources with undergraduate students. You don't have to worry about that when you're in this program. We consider online, obviously, one of our campuses as well, but obviously no physical location. About 500 students in our online presence. I also feel like online programs are added pretty frequently lately. So we've been able to grow a lot of what we're able to offer, especially coming into how more easily it is to have some programs online. So a lot more opportunities for our students. And I do have a question that's coming in about on-campus housing, and I will have a slide that will go over much more details on that. So I do promise we will go into details about what's available for students here on campus. So this is your new home. This would be Worcester, Massachusetts. It is the 2nd largest city in New England. We do have 11 colleges and universities, within our city. A lot going on in Worcester, especially in the past 10 years. I've seen a lot happen with the downtown area. We have a brand new baseball stadium. A lot of new restaurants have come into town in the recent years. So lots of different things in terms of, I always like to tell students, whatever you might be interested in, I feel you probably can find in Worcester. Any type of hobby or religious affiliation or cuisine or breweries or different activities. More than likely you can find it in Worcester or closely around. We have 3 different major hospitals within miles of our campus. So it's also a pretty busy, healthcare focused environment. We do have MCPHS sponsored housing available, and I do have a slide on that. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Students, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you like about being in the city of Worcester? Trish, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So, me and my friends would go around walking around the city, try to find things to do, and we really like hiking or just taking for like a nice walk. So there's Green Hill Park, which I believe is maybe like a 45-minute walk, but like if you drive, it's like 10 minutes. That's probably one of my favorite places to go. It's super nice. There's like little ponds, and there's also like a farm which kind of has like little animals there, like chickens and like peacocks. So that's always fun to do. I highly recommend checking that out. And there's like little trails that you could also walk through. So yeah.
Can go next. So I love Worcester because I really like the food here. I'm just like a very big foodie person, so I love like exploring, walking around like Main Street where I live, just finding like new restaurants and all that. It's really good. One of my favorites is actually Tashi Ramen and Izakaya. It's about maybe 5 minute walk from me. It's super good. Another thing that I love about Worcester is that there's a lot of events that happen here, like Palladium, which is about 2 minute walks from me, and also the CU Center, which is about like 5 minutes walk from me. They have a lot of events. They have concerts. They have EDM festivals. I know there was Disney on Ice a couple months back at the CU Center. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. So there's always something fun you can do.
There's exactly, and I would say the food, she's absolutely right. I had the privilege of working with international students for a while here in the city, and I used to make a bet that if you cannot find something from home here in the city of Worcester, I owe you dinner. Now, we're not talking about necessarily quality, that it's not perfect from home, but if you don't find it, I will take you out to a dinner of your choice. Did that for about 7 years, and I never had to pay for dinner. So if you name it, I bet you we have it in the city, and I bet you could probably get it delivered as well, which just makes it even that much more convenient. So lots to do around here, lots to do, lots to eat, and then you'll have lots to study. So lots of good things. We do have on-campus housing, which I would say if you're looking at the housing price and you're looking what's available in Worcester, they're pretty comparable. However, our on-campus housing includes all utilities, so that is going to be a benefit in itself, depending on the type of housing that you're looking for. And that's just taking from someone who lives here in the city and, looks at the different housing prices. It's super convenient in terms of, especially, if you're the type of person of, I don't want to have to be concerned with cutting a specific rent check by a certain date every month. This comes off your tuition bill, so it's your overall student bill. So if you wanted to use any of your loans or any of your financing for that, you're able to. Everything comes fully furnished. All utilities are included. You do get obviously 24-hour security, 24-hour facilities sponsored by the school. We try in terms of parking to get, if where you're living, it does not have a specific parking lot, as close to where you're living as possible. We've got 2-bedroom condos, 2-bedroom apartments, studio apartments, suite style living, hotel room style living. Nazim and Trish, do you want to talk a little bit about your experiences in terms of housing, or I would say, or if you're, Trish, you look like you're living in housing right now, but we're looking at the background of yours. So maybe you want to start talking about housing.
Yeah, I'll start first. So I currently live in Lincoln, and it's super convenient for me because I just go down the elevator and I take like a few turns and there's my class. So it's super convenient for me. I do enjoy a walk, but during the winter time, I don't really like walking. And then I also sleep in quite a bit. So just waking up 10 minutes before class is prime for me. So hence why I chose Lincoln.
Love that.
So I live on Main Street Residence, which is about 10-minute walk. If I walk fast enough, I can get there probably in like 5 minutes, but I don't usually do that. I just take my time. But yeah, it's a studio residence. It has like a little kitchen, the two stove top, and has a full fridge, which is all I need. I needed a kitchen, so that's why I chose Main Street. It's very nice and safe. It's very clean. I really like the area. And then I can also study outside in the community area that we have, which is great and very convenient. And then we also have public safety, so which is good if I want to like stay at Lincoln or just like any other places like the library like till later, then they can walk me home, which is I always feel safe anyway. But that's also a good thing that we have that we can use.
Fun. And this does work similar to your typical 1-year lease system. So if you were coming in as a brand new student, you would sign on for 1 year. When it's coming close to the end of the year, a few months out, we reach out to current students. We ask them if they want to renew their lease for another year. If yes, do you want to stay in your current housing? Do you want to change housing? You'll have a deadline, but you do kind of lease your housing out per year. So that's kind of how that works. I would say like a good, almost depending on the program, not all of our housing is filled, but a good population of students are living here on campus, which sometimes also is an opportunity for you to meet some of your colleagues and students from other programs as well. Even though you're going to love each other in optometry, sometimes it is nice to talk to people that are not talking to you about optometry. So it's always good to make friends in other programs as well. And these are the types of friends that you're going to be able to make here on campus. So in terms of doctoral, masters, we do have some bachelor programs. These are more post-bac programs. So I did say before there's no undergraduate programs here on campus. These were more considered students that are already coming in with a certain level of college completed. So Eastern and Western medicine. So we have a number of different programs on campus that you have access to work with. So obviously optometry is here. I mean, #1, of course, on the list. You'll also be integrated with pharmacy students, physical therapy, occupational therapy, PA, nursing, acupuncture, medical sonography, dental hygiene. And this is really, I like to look at this as such almost kind of an accurate description of me going to the doctors on a regular basis. Where I go in, it's not just, my PA, that's my primary care. I have the option of having physical therapy down the hallway. If I needed an ultrasound or I needed an x-ray, that's 1 floor up. There's my dental clinic down the hall. So kind of almost getting you prepared when you're going to be going out and working in these types of environments. Which brings me to interprofessional education. I remember the first day one day I was giving an info presentation, and I'm talking about how we're a health science university and we have, all these different programs. This is so wonderful. And someone just raised their hand and they said, yeah, but what does that do for me? Like, what makes that so special? And I remember stopping and thinking, I'm like, you know what, you're right. That's a really good question. Like, that is what we should be answering. And IPE is really a big part of that. So we have all these expertise on campus. How does that help you? You get exposed to these other expertise and ways to know how you're going to collaborate and work with your peers when you're going out into the real world, when you're going to have to possibly be working with a pharmacist about a medication of your patient, or I like to say sometimes, when we talk about diabetes, someone with diabetes, I feel like touches everyone in the healthcare system. So if you have a patient with that, how are you working with their other providers to understand their treatments? This is where you get to learn a lot of that. So it's really being able to bring students together, really being able to know that you can work with other programs and really just understand more about your patients and what they may, the kind of treatments they're getting from their other providers. I would say that it starts off, I won't say it starts off easy, but your first activity is really getting to know each other. So you'll be chatting with other representatives of other programs to learn who they are, what they do, what their role in healthcare is. And then you'll move on to different activities such as case studies, small books to read, things of that nature. Trish and Nazim, do you want to maybe chat about one IPE activity that you have completed to give a little bit of an example?
So I've only done one, which was in fall semester. Basically, what we did is that we gathered around and we had lunch together, and then we talked about what our different programs actually do. And it was really good to know about what the scope of other programs are, what we can't do, like generally in the medical field, and what we can do. I even learned about like optometry, like that I didn't know about, like a lot of things that I was like, oh, we can actually do that. That's cool. So it was a great opportunity to talk to other people from different programs. I got people, I got friends in like physical therapy and pharmacy. So these are the people that I always see around the campus, and we always say hi and hang out sometimes outside of school when we get a chance. So there's a lot of things that we can do with that. But right now, I only had one event so far, and then we're going to have another event coming up this semester.
Yeah, so just to add on to that, I think my first one was the most memorable one, only because I vividly remember like frantically not knowing what to do, and then like talking to other people in other programs and just having like my nerves completely calm down when they were also learning things about their own program that they didn't know either. And I still have friends from that program as well. So I would just say like my first one was probably the most memorable one.
I think sometimes some of your most memorable memories might be that first semester, and they do come from nerves and, not knowing what's coming up next and trying to get yourself into the program. So also, I just remember everyone is going to feel that way. I don't think anyone is really like 100% ready and they come through the door and they're like ready to go. Everyone, it's always going to be a little bit of a process for everybody. We have lots of different services here for our students' success. So one thing I always kind of like to give an example of is in undergrad, you may have run into competition. It may have been, oh, well, I got a 92 on that exam. How did you do? I number one in the class, or things of that nature. It is so opposite when you're going to get to a doctoral level. So things like seeing an academic coach or receiving peer tutoring is very common and very encouraged in a doctoral program. So these are people that are there to help as a resource. You are paired with students that have already gone through your first year, so they know what those nerves are like. They remember what those courses were like, and they're really there to help you succeed. So any type of things from, again, anything academic success related, we have career services, we have counseling services here on campus that is available for you to walk in, call in, email in, do telehealth, do in person. We're here to help guide you with anything that you may need. There's also always a hotline available 24/7, 365 days a year for our students to have access to. Our facilities are great. I always like to say the optometry tours are the best tours because you actually get to look at a lot of cool stuff and different machines and cool labs. When some of our labs, like we walk in and it's kind of an empty room and it's, okay, well, when there's students in here, like things are going on. But we get to do tours of optometry. There's a lot of cool technology that's going on in the community center as well as our labs. That's really fun to check out. So similar to everything kind of around MCPHS, we try to keep student to faculty ratios as low as we can, especially in a doctoral program. Being able to have access to your faculty and that advisement is so important. And our faculty are, not just because Dr. O'Leary's here, our faculty are great. They think of you as their colleagues. So they want to support you and want you to successfully come out of the program because you're going to be working alongside of them eventually. So they're definitely here for your support. So we have the Doctor of Optometry program. We are fall start only. And we are 4 years in length. We do go through OptomCast. So I'm sure if anyone's looking at optometry school, that will look very familiar. Small class sizes. And so like I kind of just said, we have 64 seats in our program and we have 16 students per lab. So you really be able to break it down to when you're walking into a lab, you're not tripping over groups of students because there's enough to go around for our students. There's not, sorry, 4 of you have to be, on this one area because we just don't have enough. We have plenty of resources for our students. I know that I'm dating myself, and so I can't use this example anymore, but I used to think of like Kmart and like Blue Light Special. We have like a BOGO deal or buy one, get one free as a Master's of Public Health. So if you are going through the optometry program, and now this also may depend on what you want to do with your degree. If you add 1 extra course to every semester, and those would be online courses, you would also graduate. When you graduate with your Doctor of Optometry, you would also graduate with your Master's in Public Health. And you're not paying any additional tuition cost if you complete both during those 4 years. So again, I usually, when students ask me about it, sometimes I'll ask, what are you interested in doing with your career? And kind of talking through a little bit about that, of how you can use public health in their plans for the future. So we do have prerequisite requirements. We have a pretty good checklist on our website that's always located under admission requirements. Always feel free also to reach out to admissions if there's any questions on those prereq courses. Sometimes students take different biology courses that the name of it may not tell you it's really general biology. Send it to us. We're happy to look into it. We're happy to kind of go over that with you. One proud mark here, a lot of our students are getting matched to go on to residency, so we're very proud of that. I remember that kind of from the start, we had a really good percentage of students going to residency. So that's been very strong throughout the program. And, and in your annual salary doesn't look too bad coming out of your Doctor of Optometry degree. That is from 2023. I wouldn't say it's changed drastically. I definitely wouldn't say it's gone down by any means. So still pretty relevant here for that. So with that, I'm going to let myself take just a break here. And Nazine, I'm going to have you talk about first and second year clinicals.
Yeah, for sure. So first year is all about building the foundation for becoming an eye doctor. So we do spend a lot of time in classroom and just like listening to lectures and doing a lot of exams. But we do actually practice a lot of our skills as well. That's like before actually going to clinic and doing all the skills, which is going to be the second year. But first year, it's more just learning all the basics, such as like optics, ocular microbiology, optometric theory and methods, visual perception, all the fundamental things that you actually need to know for the clinic. And basically, first year is definitely intense, but it's not impossible. You do have to change the way that you study from undergrad versus optometry school. But everybody here is super supportive and everybody's here to help you do that. For our 2028 graduation, we did have a jump start, which really helped us learn how to actually figure out what is the best way for us to study. I realized that I'm a visual learner, so I like to have everything in front of me. And that's what we actually do in the first couple of weeks that we come to MCPHS. They help us find out what is the best way we can actually learn. So that's really great. And then we do spend quite a time just practicing with other students at the pre-clinic and the labs, and just like getting the skills like built on. And then until we get into the second year, and then second year is actually where we see patients. First semester of second year is like the clinical experience on that. So we get to see a lot of like hands-on patients. We participate in school vision screenings. And it's a really good relationship that we have with Worcester Public Schools. We actually provide eye exams and also glasses at no cost to those kids as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just don't know too much about second year because I'm not there yet, but that's going to be me next year doing a lot of clinical. So
Well, luckily we have Trish up next to go over years 3 and 4. So Trish, do you think anything maybe students should know about year 2? You're free to jump in there and then goes into your what year 3 and 4 gonna look like.
I think for year 2 is just know that everyone's in the same boat as you. So you may not get a lot of clinical experience prior to applying for optometry school, which is completely fine. You're going to get that in your second year, first semester. So don't stress about it. So for year 3, you're exposed to like all specialty clinics, which includes pediatrics, binocular vision, low vision, glaucoma, and contact lens. You'll rotate through those through our affiliated community health centers. And there's lots of emphasis on giving back to our community and working with the underserved population. There is a huge emphasis on working with the local community. So our community health focused institution, community health focused OD programs, and not only are like students seeing patients on our campus, so the Eye and Vision Center, they also rotate through school screenings and then also through our community health centers, which is known as like the EMK, as like us students call it. And then those are designed for like individuals who might not have insurance or who are part of like a refugee status or just might not get proper access to healthcare. So Worcester itself is a sanctuary city. So we welcome individuals from various parts of the world, and the city helps them with housing, jobs, and a path towards immigration in the US. Students are doing a lot of good work here. So more often than not, they encounter patients that may have never even gotten an eye exam or don't speak the language of like English or even like Spanish. So that really exposes you to a whole variety of patients that you typically won't normally see. And you also get exposed to a different variety of like ocular health and like diseases and whatnot.
Students are also gonna be participating in boards review courses during year 3. So this is something that MCPHS has been offering their students for quite a while now. I don't remember exactly how many years off the top of my head, but it is also we have the data that shows how much this is helping our students. So also know that during that year 3, we're also going to help you being prepped for this while you're getting ready to be taking that first round of boards. All right, Trish, you want to take us into year 4?
Yeah, perfect. So there are 3 16-week externships all across the country, and students don't need to complete do not need to complete one at a community health center. Or sorry, they do need to complete one at a community health center, one at a VA facility working with our veterans, and then one elective where we get to choose where we want to go and whatever we want to do. So like that could be like some students want to do contact lens, so they'll probably go into like a center that focuses heavily on contact lens or even like dry eyes or even like ocular diseases. So the faculty does a really good job at trying to get our students exposed to different things as well as the things that they want to do and kind of move them towards like if they want to pursue a residency as well.
And also, so in year 3, we talked about how we're going to provide that board review. In year 4 is when you're going to be taking those first rounds of boards. And I still don't know. I mean, Dr. O'Leary, you may know this. I don't know why it's one location that everyone goes to and why it's not per state, but everyone gets to go to North Carolina to take those first rounds. And we actually have an exam room for your practical exam here on campus that mimics that same room. So also one really great thing is your labs and academic space, if you want to study at 3 a.m., they're actually open, which is great, which made me think of where the practice room is. So that's when you find a buddy and you want to practice. That's, that's open for you. And you're also going to get practice in terms of not only in the practical exam, but also you'll get Blackboard organization where you're going to practice case questions and, exam, prep exams and practice situations. So we're really going to be able to get you ready in all aspects and on all sides when you're going to be coming in for your first rounds of board exams. So patient care and clinical experience, which next one up. And I think I just lost where my page was with this one.
Yeah, I'll take
no,
over
I
this
got it.
one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no, you're up next. I have it.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, the students already chatted a little bit about their clinical experience, but just in this picture here is the front door of the Eye and Vision Center, which is the on-campus clinic. Same building as classes and labs. So again, convenient if you're especially living in 10 Lincoln. But really, I would say this clinic sees patients, not only staff, students, faculty from the university, but patients from all over Worcester. So I like to say, in primary care clinic, you could see, the 20-year-olds coming in to get their prescription updated, or you could see the 70-year-old patient that has cataracts and glaucoma and diabetes and has never had an eye exam before. So anything can really walk in the door during your time in the Eye and Vision Center. And I will say, being here for about 10 years, the university has been really great about updating technology, not only in labs, but also in the clinic as well. Literally yesterday, we just got an electrodiagnostic set delivered, which I know one of our faculty members has been asking for. So that will be really exciting to use that on patients in the upcoming year. And then, like you also mentioned as well, too, just technology in general as you walk around the university, they're really just great about keeping up with it so that our students are prepared when they go out on fourth-year rotations. They'll be exposed to the different technology that's out there.
Whoops. A little delayed here. So not only are you gonna have some really great experiences on campus through the Eye and Vision Center and seeing your patients, there's also opportunities for you to be doing research on campus. And I always like to kind of talk about research, especially with optometry, because you have the most time here on campus. So rather than some other programs where you may not have as much time to put into it, I think we have a lot of great research opportunities coming specifically for our optometry students. And now this could be in a number of different ways. So you could be collaborating with a faculty member who may have a current research project and opportunity going on. You may want to do something on your own, so just student research and case reports. Or we do have opportunities to do a little bit of collaboration interprofessionally, and that could be in-house with MCPHS programs or other institutions outside of there. We have UMass Chan, Harvard Medical School, Mass Eye and Ear, Reliant, which has lots of different locations here in the Central Mass area. But Dr. Leary, would you like to talk about some of the research we have going on right now?
Yeah. So I always like to say too, I mean, academics is number one priority for students. So research is not required for students, but we definitely have students participate in research every year. In the third picture over down there on the screen, one of the research projects done by our low vision provider was doing research on a new pair of glasses coming out with lenses to help patients that had vision loss on one side. So they were essentially doing research to see, not necessarily to bring their vision back on that side, but bring more awareness to the side where they've lost vision. And she did that in collaboration with Harvard as well, too. Nothing's been published yet. Literally, I think they just finished up kind of the clinical trials with patients, but we did have a student help out with that as well, too. Faculty are required to do research. So, that's why research is always going on. But again, in regards to students, that's up to them. And I like to say they can devote as little or as much time to research, depending on the semester as well, too, if they do decide to get involved.
Okay, so the fun part, how are you going to get here? So I had said kind of in the beginning, if you're applying to optometry school, I'm sure Optomcast is something you have already heard about. So many of the programs I love Optomcast because, I mean, it makes it easier for the applicant. Sometimes you only have to answer so many questions once and then send it off to as many schools as you want. Bachelor's degrees are going to be preferred in the application process, but is not required. But you do have to meet a minimum of 90 plus transferable credits. Bachelor's degree is 120. Typically, we're seeing students coming in with that completed undergraduate degree. In terms of the process, Optomcast is going to ask you a bunch of different questions. They're going to ask you to send them your transcripts from your institutions. They are going to calculate your GPA, and they're going to basically put everything in terms of your application in a bow, send it over to us, and then we review. So minimum overall GPA we're looking for is a 3.0, which would be on the 4.0 schedule. Scale, not schedule. You do have a choice between the GRE or the OAT. So we do need an official copy of either one. So whichever one you decide to take. I would say overly majority of our students are taking the OAT, but the GRE is an option. If you do have any kind of shadowing experience or assistance, or maybe we have a family member that you've been able to go in and chat with and maybe interview or ask questions about the profession, make sure to add that in. We love to know about that. I even tell students, when you're looking at, like, do you have community involvement? Were you involved in different organizations while you were in undergrad? There's plenty of room on the application to put that in. That gets just to know a little bit more about you. If you are admitted to the program and you still have prerequisites courses to complete, you do have until the end of the summer. We ask for all official transcripts to be in our office by August 15th. If for some reason they're not ready till August 17th, that's okay. You would just make sure to let us know. And we work with students on that, but everything must be completed prior to orientation. So we hate to turn people away at the door on that. You do need to have a minimum of 1 letter of recommendation. You can submit up to 3 through Optomcast. We will accept up to 3, but in terms of requirements, we need to see at least 1. If any of our students are applying with international transcripts, we do need a course by course international evaluation. We see majority of these evaluations coming from WES. And if you apply to the program and you are reviewed and eligible for the program, we then would invite you for the interview process. And then the interview process, we give you options to do it virtually, or we give you options to come to campus and do it in person. And it is a one-on-one interview with a faculty member. It's about 30 to 40 minutes. We had interviews today, and every single person that came back, of course, I like to ask them, how was your interview? Every single person said the exact same thing. And then I couldn't believe how a nice conversation I had. And that's just always nice to hear of, see, I promise it wasn't a scary process. They really good. People tend to walk away. I actually really enjoyed being able to interview for this program. So it's a nice, smooth process, as we like to call it as well. So apply early. We are rolling admissions. So the earlier you apply, the earlier we can start the interview and admission process. Fall of 2026 is our next cycle that's going to be starting. So that will open next month already in June. And then you'll have until May 1 of 2026 in terms of an application deadline. When we are reviewing applications, kind of everything I've gone over in the past 2 slides. So we'll be looking at both your cumulative GPA and your prereq GPA. So we want to see those 3.0s and above. We're going to be looking at, again, where I'm recommending any kind of experience that you have, any kind of things that sparked your interest in terms of optometry. Have you worked in any kind of healthcare? All of those different aspects are great to have on your application for your interview. And again, we're rolling admissions, so your time of your application can really help play in terms of how early you get in. The earlier you're in, the earlier you get to start the process and more seats are available. We do process all federal financial aid, so if you are a domestic student, you want to make sure that you fill out your FAFSA. We have tuition and fees on our website, and it breaks it down not only with your tuition and the different fees per year. We also have a great estimated cost page, so you can see what average cost of living is, what we project of estimated cost of different aspects of that. So it's helpful to kind of look there. We do have merit scholarships. They go up to about $12,000. So every year that is subject to change. And we will know more about merit scholarships for 2026 by the end of the summer. And if you wanted to ask, if you wanted to know a little bit more, especially maybe on how FAFSA works on the graduate level, and billing and all of those fun aspects of financial aid, we have affordability appointments available. Lynn Barry is here in our office. He's wonderful. He's been working here a very long time, knows all the answers to all the questions, which we love. And his contact information, if you get in touch directly with Hannah, she works here in our office and she actually manages all of our optometry applications and works very closely with our faculty, including Dr. O'Leary and our 2 students. So she is always happy to answer phone calls or emails. If you even just call the admission office, we're happy to help put you in touch with the person you need to talk to. At this point, questions are open. We have faculty, we have staff, we have students. I'll let this open for a minute or two. Feel free to ask your questions. And we're going to be getting ready to start a new cycle. So this is the perfect time to start asking those questions before you think about the next cycle. I guess one question that I didn't ask either one of you students, and maybe I'll throw you for a loop, is we talk about kind of the values of coming here to MCPHS. Why did the both of you choose to come here?
I can go first. One of the biggest reasons why I decided to come here was the fact that MCPHS offers the early clinical experience. And that's what I really was looking for when I was applying to optometry schools. Even though I did come like a long way from home, like I'm from the West Coast, I came all the way to the East Coast. One thing that was really important for me was also like, yeah, the clinical experience and like the supportive staff. And when I was applying, Hannah was amazing with answering my questions. My interview was great with Dr. Imperioli. It went so well. And I was like, oh my God, this is like who I want to be associated with. This is where I want to actually learn and learn from all these amazing faculty members. So one of the biggest reasons was that why I decided to come here.
Yeah, so one of my biggest reasons was since I don't have any family in Massachusetts. Well, at the time, my brother actually graduated from MCPHS and now is living in New Hampshire. So that was a little biased for me of like choosing MCPHS because he would not shut up about how amazing the profs were, how great the clinical experience was, and just everything he said and came out of his mouth were good things. So that immediately put that as a top ranking for me. And then when I did my interview with Miss like Dr. DeLiso, I was in love. I was like, this did not even feel like an interview. Like me and her were just chatting for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was nice. Yeah.
I love that. I love that relaxing atmosphere. We don't have any questions coming in, so I'm going to assume that hopefully we gave everyone enough information or at least a taste of who we are and what we're doing around here and what we have to offer. Again, contact the admission office, contact Hannah. If you needed to talk to a faculty member, questions about curriculum, if you wanted to talk to a student more about student life, you let us know. We're happy to make those connections. And thanks for joining us tonight, and hopefully we'll start to see your applications come on in. Have a great night, everyone.